breaking through. You feel me too. I still wanna run to you. Am I breaking through? You feel me too. I still wanna run to you. Am I breaking through? You feel me too. I still wanna run to you. Am I breaking through? Am I breaking through? Am I breaking through? Am I breaking through? Am I breaking through?
And class is now officially in session for Junior Sunday here at the Runeterra Academy. I am Sun Praising. Alongside me today is Tiger, where we bring you the matchup between Kung Fu Cats Augusta and Divine Ascension Emerald. Now, Tiger, I know you were talking about speaking to a few of the contacts to some of the teams a bit before we went live, so perhaps you can give us some insight onto a few of the players from these rosters.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear a lot specifically about the players, but I do know a little bit about the teams coming in. Now, obviously, with it being week one and all, it's hard to say just what to expect. But I talked to CPHB from Divine Ascension Emerald, and he said basically they got a roster that's a group of friends that are trying to play together, have fun. So obviously they're pretty familiar with each other. That's always a nice thing to have. Week one is some chemistry going on with the team. And he said they finished the last split as in the finalists and XLNC and semifinalists in LRS. Now going over to the other side with KFC Augusta, I talked as well to their jungler Stunna. I wasn't sure which player on the team that CPHB was, so that's a miss on my part. But Stunna said basically that recently KFC Augusta had to replace their support mid and top. But the core of their team, which is the jungle ADC positions, is where they expect to carry through. So they're all feeling pretty confident, even though they haven't had their roster together very long. So it should be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, and just to get a confirmation for the rosters tonight on the side of Kung Fu Cats Augusta, we have Raven in the top lane, Stunna as the jungler, as we mentioned earlier, Dracula in the mid lane, Yami as the ADC, while Sugar will round out the support role, and meanwhile on the side of Divine Ascension, Bleeding Wolves will start in the top lane, Saturation the third will start in the jungle, Paradox Creator is in the mid lane, and Corn Doge, right? Not quite Corn Dog. Just a slight. We'll start. It is an ADC, and JDK will be the support with a potential substitution from Tilty and SRC Lexar come through. Now, any moment we should be ready to begin draft. Everything should be set up. I believe both teams said they are ready, but not quite
They
sure
may
what's
have
been
just
going on
been
there.
waiting on us sun praising, but I
There
think
is a
that we
very
should
that
be.
is a very genuine possibility. I mean, I've seen like 90 different R's come through the client chat, so it should be the message should have gotten through. But either here we go, We're in now. We're in now.
Yep, I think that going into the draft, it'll be interesting to see where the priority for each of these teams lies. At the beginning of the season, we're already starting to see in competitive some interesting strategies come out with some of the top laners playing enchanters and roaming around with the smite. So I don't know if we'll see any of that today. I think that that's a strategy that's a little bit more difficult to pull off in lower ELO. There's going to just be a lot of fighting, anyways. So we'll see if either of the teams go towards that tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of, a few of these bands might seem a bit interesting for for people just tuning in, but taking a look at see their match histories, the side of KFC Academy. What? This is the A. This is no Augusta. The Urgot ban is definitely one that's more focused. It's definitely a player specific focused ban. I know Bleeding Wolves has been playing a bit of it in solo queue recently, so something to look out for as Caitlyn is locked in, and probably Corky will be coming through soon.
Yeah, and I think that with the Caitlyn early lock-in for KFCA, that's something that I've seen a lot of priority from a lot of different competitive leagues early on in Season 12. I think that getting that early priority in the bot side should be pretty effective. I wonder what the answer is going to be. It looks like Divine Ascension Emerald are going to look to play different areas of the map. A little bit of carry coming through in the jungle. Corky just trying to survive through the lane, just trying to scale towards that late game. That's kind of a lot of the poke and assassinate sort of idea. I like this Lux going to be
Oh
paired
yeah,
with the Caitlyn. That's one of the strongest bot lanes in the game. So it'll be
it's a classic.
interesting to see if the bot lane of DAE is going to even get a chance to contest the lane, or if they'll just pick something very safe and scaly, potentially like an Ezreal Yumi or something like that.
Yeah, definitely potentially. I know Ezreal Karma has been a fairly common, at least in professional play, answer to Caitlyn Lux to try to counter that push that they bring. But with Xin Zhao being the lock-in on the side of Kung Fu Cats, we now have we got an official answer in the jungle. The call has been made, and receiver I don't know that analogy went south really fast. But yes, I'm take it away.
Yeah, we're thinking about teaching the class how to plan out your analogies, I suppose. But anyways, I think that the Senna pickup here means that DAE probably going to try to pick a lane where they can sustain pretty well. I think that that's a pretty good choice here against a poke lane, but they'll probably need some help. Potentially some package roams coming out from the Corky will be just what they need. I like the Xin Zhao pickup here for Kung Fu Cats. I think that that's going to really push the pace of the game. They've got an early game set here going towards the bot side of the map. They can afford to just pick some island style top lane or like set, just try to absorb pressure.
Well, they can't quite pick set.
They can't quite pick set. It got banned.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Sometimes there have been times where I haven't noticed the bans before, and it happens to the best of us. Don't worry about it.
Yes, that's a good catch there on your part. So thank you for that. The Jin going to give some extra range, so that's kind of a lane where I think that there could be some fighting going back and forth each way. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The Gnar definitely going to be able to do just fine on his own. It looks like both sides kind of committing towards playing towards the bot lane here. And I think that we should see both of the solo lanes being kind of a 1v1 situation. It'll be interesting to see if any ganks rotate towards that. But definitely between these 3v3 in the bot lane, who you think's got the early advantage, son?
I think with especially high, it's been a common talking point as of recently. It was the teleport changes that came in preseason. I think just especially at lower levels, Caitlyn Lux is just second to none because it's very easy to execute, and the constant push really frees up the rest of the map as well. Doesn't need as much attention to really pop off. So definitely my personal favorite. But I mean, we'll have to see, considering there is definitely a certain level of execution to everything in this game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this game get into the mid to late game stages. I think that there's a lot of good team fight from both sides here. Of course, the Ornn loves to get into that late game situation. Diego loves to be in a team fight, just get into the nitty gritty, trying to get some resets going on. Corky going to be landing good poke. Just a lot of good poke all around from the carries of DAE. But on the other side, you got a lot of AoE abilities coming through from Kung Fu Cats. You're going to have the Event Horizon coming down from Veigar. That's going to be very important. I think that the Gnar pickup definitely is an X factor in your team fights. You want to be able to get into a situation where you can get a multi-man stun into the wall. And then just having that early advantages, it'll be interesting to see if they can snowball and get ahead early.
Yeah, so think with that in mind, we are heading into the client portion of the drafts. As you know, in the amateur scene, we can't quite view the games live. We always have that little bit of a spectator delay. So, you know, we've got a hot minute or three, I believe, is the delay to really grab our shovels and start digging into potentially what's going on, or you can just troll. I mean, we're here. We went over the drafts, so
Yeah,
there's no trying in this game though. So
I want to hear from you about what your philosophy on the macro going into the game is. You think that a lot of the focus around the Drakes is going to be where all the fighting is, or you think that there's going to be a lot of invades going on? How are you going to go about getting the early advantages if you're one of these teams?
yeah, you know, if you're playing around the bot side of a map, as it looks like, at the very least, Kung Fu Cats want to do. Dragon stacking is a very viable strategy. What is a kind of slight concern to me, just on the maybe this is a little bit just early concerns, and this might also just come from my slight lack of anything that isn't Leona, is that I'm not quite sure how especially in the mid lane, how the who can obtain that push to then secure the words. The
priority in
lane priority to reach the dragon first. Still waking up. So excuse me for a moment. That
Yeah, for sure. I think that that's an important point you bring up. And I was saying earlier, I'm not sure exactly how much we'll see the junglers ganking towards the solo lanes, but definitely around the time when the Drake spawns, I wouldn't be surprised to see Stunna going for the mid lane ganks. I definitely think Xin Zhao is the better of the two gankers out of the jungle. So I think that I'll be looking to see that. I agree with you that Kung Fu Cats probably are more in the position to go for some early Drake stacking. But then from the other side for Divine Ascension, we'll have to see if they're going to try to contest some of these early Drakes, or if they're going to play it somewhere else on the map, just try to collect whatever resources are available to them. Maybe even try to catch a Gnar in the top lane, try to get a Rift Herald, and then start snowballing through that. I think any way you can get gold on your Viego saturation should feel pretty good with that. So a lot of different options here. I think that should be pretty interesting to see how they go about it.
and one thing I think I forgot to brought up early, as I was reminded by it as Yami was flopping through the many different 80 carries that were technically available, is that Zeri is actually disabled in Runeterra Academy for this first week only. So you're wondering why that hasn't been a major talking point. That would be it. Probably should have got that out of the way immediately, because that's fairly important, but I mean, we learn.
Yeah, well, definitely a pick that we'll be keeping our eye on next week. But I think that these drafts are pretty standard as far as I'm concerned. So all in all, I think a pretty good draft phase from both sides. I definitely am looking at a more standard idea coming through from Kung Fu Cats Augusta, so I think very easy to understand what they're doing. And I'll be definitely watching from Divine Ascension Emerald to see if they can prove it on their selections.
All right, and before we send it to the spectator delay, Tiger, give me a definitive answer. Who do you think's winning game one here?
I'll take KFCA.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair, you know, fairly standard. But yeah, on that note, we will send it to a short little break, and we'll see you back when we have loaded in. Yeah. That was. we are loaded in for game 1 of this Junior Sunday in Group 2. Once again, I'm Sunbrazing, alongside me is Tiger. And,
Yeah,
yeah, that is us. It's
that's us. Wow.
that
All right.
great start. No, yeah, well, here we are. Work brain items.
Item.
Yes, items. God
Yeah.
damn it, this has not been. Woo!
All right. I got you, son.
Yeah, I got it. You're gonna have to carry me
Right.
this time because brain broke.
All
I
right.
guess.
Brain broke, looking for a fix.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take a moment to talk about this first strike. So we got first strike on the Corky, which I think is pretty commonplace, if I'm not mistaken. But first strike has definitely had an impact since its addition to the game. And I think that a lot of the things that Klepto was is things that First Strike is now. It's probably not quite as egregious, but the additional damage definitely feels really good on a champ that you're gonna poke a lot on. So definitely making sense here to have that on a Corky. And besides that, I think the only thing of note that caught my eye was the fact that it's going to be cleanse for Corn Doge on the Jin, and the heal is on JDK on the Senna here. So just playing a little bit more defensive summoner spells in the bot lane for Divine Ascension Emerald.
Yeah, and especially with Caitlyn Lux being in the classic, you land one light binding straight into a trap, and that's all she wrote usually. Trading over to the mid lane, we got a nice little trade between Dracula and Paradox. Kind of just throwing around there, getting a little bit dangerous with their trading, but either way, looking forward to it. We did kind of mention how there was going to be a bit of focus towards the bot side, and we take a look at where the two junglers currently are. We just might see that sometime in the near future.
Yeah, could definitely be early ganks. Once again, looking at Xin Zhao as the sort of champion that you want to get out on the warpath as early as possible. He's pretty good at skirmishing as well, so invades definitely are on the table. But it looks like it could be a gank coming towards the mid lane.
Where the bot, he's just been kind of sitting. He's been standing there menacingly, but not quite much else. And in that time, I think it is important to mention that Saturation was able to pick up that Scuttle Crab. So perhaps a bit too many resources used towards that towards a potential mid lane gank that hasn't even come. Is Saturation might be looking for something himself here. That's the Deadly
like
Flourish and getting a few. JDK is forced to go low, has to heal, but meanwhile, Saturation looking to turn it. Oh, with the safety of that tower, it looks like the side of Kung Fu Cats will be largely okay. And yeah, that's JDK having to burn a summoner spell in a what you probably wouldn't have quite expected, but at the same time, he did get the flash from Sugar and Yami. So a relative trade up in summoner spells towards this bot lane.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh,
actually, wait, this just might be a kill. Corn Doge will also have to flash there, burning the cleanse as well, getting marked by that light binding. As we mentioned, definitely very dangerous. One of the classic bot lane combinations, and they've just demonstrated why right there.
Yeah, so strong early on, and Yami also picking up some early CS advantages.
Rebond's
Pretty
looking
deep in the top lane.
bit. Ooh.
Yeah,
has to flash away there. Probably a bit ill-advised.
What happens?
But straight up to this top lane, Stunna is 2 levels down. He does have his jungler nearby, Bleeding Wolves. Going to walk away, uses the Bellows Breath, will be enough to keep him alive for now and avoid that knockup. And yeah, and he makes it out safely.
Yeah, actually, big respect to Stunna there for not continuing to walk forward. I think one more tower shot would have killed him. So if he had even thought about continuing any further, that would have ended up in him dying. So good, safe respect there from Stunna. Nice attempt. Got a lot of damage down, but outplayed there just a little bit to get to safety by Bleeding Wolves. Uh, now I was thinking something. Oh, I was about to say that Yami was picking up a pretty decent CS advantage already. Now early on, so 10 CS definitely could be just fine as long as Corn Doge can stabilize. But right now, Yami looking pretty strong in this lane. Sugar landing some bindings has been a good factor, and now with no sums there except for JDK's flash, I would definitely be expecting some action towards the bot lane with the first Drake of the game having spawned here.
Yeah, and that being a cloud drake means we won't get a cloud map. Everybody celebrate. Yeah, I mean,
Hooray!
but yeah, I would really imagine that we're going to get some more bot lane focus. As there's a little bit of a cover from saturation, as Yami might not know there's junglers there, though this might be a little bit early. He's knocked up by that Yordle snap trap, and yeah, that will be largely just a kind of nothing gank. And saturation, actually, he's in a very weird spot. Stunna picking up the first blood on that, and yeah, he just had nowhere to go, and without the flash, that's the end result.
Oh man, feels bad for Divine Ascension Emerald because Saturation has been kind of investing a lot of time towards the bot lane, but now they're
Hold
giving
on, the
first blood.
Gnar comes through, will force the flash out of Bleed and Wolves in the top lane there. Very sudden use there, so I'm sorry to cut you off, but it was kind of big. So anyway,
Always important to check in on what's going on the screen, more so than what went on in the past. But now we can go back to thinking about that gank in the bot lane. Good response from Stunna, able to come through. I don't think there's a kill to be had here. Saturation's nearby though, so we'll keep an eye on it. But good execution there. Sugar landing the two-man route, and really outplaying the gank in the first place. Saturation
yeah.
came in, but JDK was nowhere on the map to be seen. So it ended up the case that even the initial gank
Hold on,
didn't have a
Yami's
chance.
been aired up by the Deadly Flourish, though not quite back away, not quite much to come out there. But if we're looking around the top side of this map, Rift Herald has just spawned just about 10 seconds ago. And look at the side of Divine Ascension. It looks like they've committed a lot of bodies towards that Herald, but haven't quite committed to it. But straight to the bottom lane, got a little trade between, well, I would say trade that would imply some damage coming back onto the bot lane of Divine Ascension. But isn't really that any of that there. And honestly, these last few minutes, just strictly mechanically, have been fairly good from Kung Fu Cats. Not Kung Fu
Yeah,
Cats, Divine Ascension.
Yeah,
Brain.
pretty much
Well,
dead even on the gold. So I think that both sides probably pretty happy with where they are. We'll see if Stunna can start carrying. But I just looked at the bottom of my screen, and on the items, there's 7 long swords in the inventory of Divine Ascension Emerald, and I think that's hilarious. And also, if 2 more, if
on
we'll
call, the
count.
Forge
Now
Guard
we
is
got a
coming
gank.
through. We got a potential dive in this top lane. Bella's Breath already used to clear out the wave. So just for now, Bleeding Wolves will try to get the recall off before this dive can even come through, and with no call of the Forge God
Ooh, I think
available,
he's
this
dead.
just might be him going down. Nard comes through, Reven picks up the kill into that top lane, and at all the while, Sugar was moving up towards that Rift Herald. So not only did they get a kill in the top lane, they also look
Yeah.
like they're going to pick up the pre 14-minute Herald.
Yeah, I think that that was a really well executed dive. As soon as Bleeding Wolves canceled the recall, I think that he was pretty much dead because Stunner just walked around. There was nowhere that he could walk out behind the turret, and Reven crashed the wave and at the same time went mega. So that was just the perfect timing window for a dive to come through. I'm not sure uh if the 3 talon strike was actually going to connect from Stunna. So it might have been
Would
possible
have
for
been
him to
close.
continue recalling, but it may have hit and forced him to stop the recall. So whatever the case, good dive coming through from Kung Fu Cat's Augusta.
Yeah, and just overall very well coordinated and just great team playing communication, but without much left on the map in terms of objectives. I believe I mean, where do we think this Swift Herald might be going? Because we've got about a minute and a half until the next Drake comes up, the Infernal Drake, to be precise. Where do we feel this Herald can be used to maybe get some map advantage?
I think definitely a fan of putting down the Rift Herald mid right as the Drake is spawning and then just using that pressure to pick up the Drake. You get 2 plates, then you've done your job pretty much with that.
Ooh,
Dang,
hold
that's a
on.
ton of
Yami!
damage.
Final spark used. Ace in the hole followed up. And there is the solo kill between Yami and onto JDK. However, Yami's gone low. Yami stays alive, though. Finally gets taken down by Saturation, but he's in a 2v1. And I just don't believe that he'll be able to get out. Tries to use the Heartbreaker to get away. But yeah, I mean, it's a double kill going on to Stunna. And an overall win for the side of Kung Fu Cats as well. And with that Herald coming through, I feel like maybe they could have waited for that Herald to take the tower and spawning it.
Maybe they could have. But that fight, Yami was so good. He was able to
Oh my
land
gosh,
2
yeah.
snap traps without any setup CC. He was able to kite out so long and stay alive. And then at the end of the fight, he did end up going down, but he was in a position where Saturation couldn't use him to get out. So it ended up being a 3-for-1 double kill for Stunna. Right place at the right time once again. So Stunna having a pretty solid game so far. And they got 4 plates. So I think that they did pretty well for themselves in the bot lane.
Yeah, they did very well for themselves. However, they may have just stayed a little bit too long, so I don't believe they'll be able to contest this Drake coming up. So if there's any consolation for the side of Define Ascension, is that we'll be able to they'll stop that the potential dragon stacking, or at least delay it, as we had seen before. If you get an ocean Drake, it gets all. Honestly, out of all the maps, I will interrupt myself as Bleeding Wolves is getting very low. It does have to flash wave. We're even following it up. Call the Forge God comes through. There's the kill, but straight over to the bot lane again. We've got another one. Bleeding Wolves will get the return kill from the tower, and straight up, that is is 2 kills in the bot lane. That being said, I do believe. I'm not quite sure who got the kill onto Corn Doge, but that was 1 kill returned.
Yeah, so it's a 3-for-2 in favor of Divine Ascension Emerald across the map. The tower was able to clean up Riva, and he wasn't able to get his Mega Form off in time to get that bonus health. And then in the bot lane, I was just about to say that it might not have been a good fight for Kung Fu Cats at Drake anyways, because Paradox Creator had his package, and he had just got his Man Immune, so he's on the 1-item power spike. So I think that this was a really strong window for DAE anyways. But then they were able to take the Drake and rotate the pressure over towards the bot lane to collapse. They pulled off a pretty good dive there. 1 trade back for Big Daddy Yami. But at the end of the day, that's the kind of play that I like to see teams who are maybe a little bit behind. I mean, 2,000 gold's not that much anyways, but it's good to see the proactivity from DAE, whatever the case.
Yeah, and it was definitely one thing that you really like to see. Teams that fall behind, any sort of proactivity is better than just slowly bleeding out to death. But at the same time, overall, Cat's still with his gold lead. However, Dracula will have to flash away from that stun. That being said, that saturation going low, that saturation going down, and maybe Stunna can turn this into a counter gank where he finds another double kill so far. So very good stuff from Dracula to keep himself alive, and very good awareness from Stunna to be there right as the escape happened and picks up that double kill for Kung Fu Cats.
Yeah, this is great stuff coming through with the synergy between the jungler and the rest of the players. Stunna always is in the right place at the right time, and Dracula able to kite it out just long enough. A good event horizon and flash combo, actually able to avoid getting CC'd, and he was still dropped to like 100 HP, but there was just no way to finish off the kill because Stunna came in and found the CC, found the kills in time to buy enough space. Paradox creator, not sure if he could have gotten out once he saw Stunna come in, but whatever the case, it ended up being a big combo, a double kill coming through. Stunna 5-0-1 on the Xin Zhao, and just getting stronger and stronger as the game continued.
Yeah, and he's really starting to somewhat run away with this one. The amount of jungle intervention that light binding was very close to landing onto JDK, but you know, close only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. So not quite in finding anything there, though. I believe Sugar Sugar have a no? It doesn't have a blue buff. That's just the arcane comment. I was about to say when did I was confused myself for a second. I was like I don't remember, but now that would be why. I just
Yeah,
need better eyes.
I've been pretty happy seeing.
Hold
Oh, we're
on,
gonna have a
Sugar
little
flashing in, but takes a few tower shots and will go down at the start of this fight. But with 3 other members of his team around, I'm not sure what can really be done to keep him alive. Stunna going low. Stunna is out of place. Saturation now on the back end of this. Stunna going low. However, Saturation will finally go down. Stunna's now finally killed by Paradox Trader, and that's Paradox Trader picking up this double kill. And as a teleport comes through, as it has been unleashed, Call the Forge guns through. Leading Wolves will land the knockup onto Nyami, though he's still a bit out of range. All the while, that's a top lane tower going down, and I do believe they'll just back off from each other as Yami does manage to find his way out of that fight.
Yeah, kind of a scattered fight going on there. Actually, at the end of it, Rayvon able to pick up a tower and start on this tier 2. So I like his choice not to follow up on the teleport, but to just stay in lane. Not sure how much Bleeding Wolves got by teleporting in. But Paradox Creator showing up at the right time to clean it up. I think it was something to the effect of a 3 for 3 there, so kind of got some going for each side. But if Paradox Creator hadn't showed up there, then that could have definitely been a much more favorable outcome for Kung Fu Cats.
Yeah, and so as things stand, all the while you will have seen that. Actually, never mind. No, back away from that. It was definitely a very favorable fight if he decides to take that one, but perhaps not enough information for him to really commit to it. But yep, that would be the first Ocean Drake picked up for the side of Divine Ascension as they're looking for another play into the bot lane. The Caliber Net is used to hop away, and that is that unleashed teleport used just to be safe, but that they got an extra summoner spell out of that, so overall fairly good from the side of Divine Ascension to
Yeah,
get an
Sugar
overall
and
win.
Yami actually doing a pretty good job there of combining their areas of effect. I mean, 3 snap traps down, and the rest of the area was covered by the Lucent Singularity. So, not really much of a way through there, even though Sugar missed the light binding. Still a pretty good thing. And what I was gonna say before was I always love seeing the Luxes come out in the competitive play because longtime fans of Tiger know I am a Lux main myself.
Uh,
So always good to see my favorite champion coming through into the competitive meta, and I definitely think Lux gets her best chance to shine paired up with the Caitlyn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lux Caitlyn is definitely a classic duo. However, we may have to cut that off as Raven's trying to go for 1v1 onto Bleed and Wolves, but not knowing that the rest of Divine Ascension is here. What will he do? There's not believe there's much he can do. As Saturation will pick up that kill onto Raven, but over on the other portions of the map, I don't believe there's really much that the rest of Kung Fu Cats can gain after that. So just a bit of extra gold coming into the pockets of the side of Divine Ascension. So yeah, very good stuff from them.
Yeah, good catch by them. I think a little bit of a lazy thing to get picked off when there's no objectives going on. I'm not sure what he was doing that far for, but Rayvon uh, probably going to be just fine on the back end of it. So we'll see. Should just be the little bit of gold going in the pockets. So we'll see coming back out on the map what sort of items each side going to get. We haven't talked a lot about the Drakes this game, but so far two in the favor of Divine Ascension Emerald, just one in favor of Kung Fu Cats Augustus. So we'll see if there's going to be some more fighting coming up around next Ocean Drake is in 2 minutes.
Just might have another fight. That being said, Diego is spotted. JDK. And a bit of damage there. Stunna now looking to fight this 3v4, interestingly enough. Might be a bit dangerous. Will use his ulti to keep himself alive for a bit now. And I believe that was the heal used by JDK to keep his to keep Paradox Creator alive there. And so if I did see that correctly, that is a favorable trade of not necessarily trade of summoner spells, because again, trade implies that there were more used on both sides, but that's if summoner spell down.
Yeah, here comes the second Rift Herald. We'll see if this is paired with a dive potentially. We're just
I
trying
don't
to
know
get
if they want to do that. There's 3 members of the side of Divine Ascension as the curtain call comes through. Sugar being slowed up by the 4th shot. JDK actually getting the kill there as now Saturation changes to Lux himself, and it's a Viego moment as he's now on Stunna, and with actually not quite early enough for the Drake, or early enough, not quite ready for the Drake to spawn yet. That being said, 2-for-0 so far. Yodel Snapchat picks up the one there. Saturation down to half health on just 2 auto attacks from Yami. Yami, my god, he's landing every single trap. Does he not have ace? He must have. No, he just used it there. I was for a second. I was like, he could probably use ace in the hole, but and he did, but not quite enough damage to actually end up finding the kill onto JDK. And so overall, fairly good stuff from Kung Fu Cats' ADC, and Divine Ascension themselves are starting to come into this match. They're really starting to the rust is slowly starting to be shaken off.
Yeah, I think in the last fight, it was a couple good picks coming out, and we see the really long range engage from the side of Divine Ascension Emerald. They can really get on top of you very quickly.
Even
Sugar
dangerously
definitely feeling
here.
the effects there.
Will
The
eventually get away.
Ornthorn always going to have that range. Now we got a fight going on.
Oh yeah, hold on. Saturation is just deleted immediately at the start of this fight. Meanwhile, Bleedin will have to use his own Billow's Breath, and that's Dracula picking up the kill onto Bleedin Wolves, and right immediately that is 2 kills going over to the side of Kung Fu Cats, and with the dragon just spawning, I'm fairly certain this should be all but theirs, especially without having that smite from Saturation.
Yeah, a couple of picks coming up before the Drake spawns, and that means that it will just go back over to KFCA. So back to even on the Drakes. 4,500 gold lead, so a pretty comfortable position for KFCA. And having won that fight, they definitely should be feeling stronger in the 5v5. But they'll want to watch out for giving up some of the picks that we've been seeing. Both sides kind of collecting picks a little bit this game. So maybe they'll want to try to play it a little bit safer, play it a little bit cleaner. But Rayvon doing pretty good work on some of these outer towers, starting to pick up tier 2s in the top lane and the bot lane. So that's some of the gold influx coming in now. 5,000 is the gold advantage. So pretty strong lead coming through right now from Kung Fu Cats.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, it looks as though on the side of Divine Ascension that most of their gold is sitting on this Corki. And you were saying with that first strike how much extra damage he can get and extra gold he can get, late game Corki, even though Corki's faced a few nerfs in recent patches, is definitely no joking matter. So perhaps if Paradox is able to stay alive through these fights long enough, that especially if he does get enough gold to finally pick up his mythic item, that he might be a bit of an issue, even despite the gold deficit that his team is sitting on.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you get
Wait,
that
Baron's
package.
up though.
This
Hold
is
on.
on Vision, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
this
not
is
sure.
a
Yeah.
very interesting decision, and they have full knowledge of this. Kung Fu Cat's looking. Corn Doge about half his health down. I'm fairly certain they should look to maybe back off this one. I don't. I'm not quite sure what the comms are like, but it seems to be a split from everyone. Curtain call comes through. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, that is the steal. Hold on, saturation sneaks his way in there. Does get the kill onto Stunna. All the while, Dracula will get the return call into saturation, but that is incredible stuff from the jungler of Divine Ascension Emerald, and he'll keep this one alive a bit longer as they managed to pick up a Baron for themselves.
Yeah, hit him with the worth. Saturation coming in, stealing away the Baron, and able to get the 1-for-1 trade as well. So it's just all the things that you could have hoped for. Now, with this Baron buff, it'll be interesting to see from behind if any sort of gold deficit can be shrunken by DAE. But now that they've got it, at least they won't be bleeding much more. They should be able to get the waves pushing in their favor. They should be able to get out on the map.
Oh, hold on. Gale Force forward from Corn Doge, trying to get the pick onto Dracula. No, not quite enough. But meanwhile, Sugar, on the other hand, ignore Dracula. This Lux has gone very, very low. And the poke, the shutdown on Corki. And whoo! He's got that upgraded Ludens, the ornament Ludens, the name of which I forget because all the names have been changed. It is now the Eye of Luden, not Luden's Tempest. But yeah, that extra bit. We were a few minutes earlier. It was brought up about Corki and his getting the Ludens, and well, we just seen the power of that come through in this last little bit of a fight there.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing here is that the poke is starting to be very meaningful coming out from the carry, especially from Paradox Creator, but from all of the long range carries, Corn Doge, JDK, Divine Ascension, and Emerald are in a spot where they can make quite effective use out of this Baron buff. Now, it should only be up for another about 30 seconds, I believe. But if they're able to get another tower off of it, another tier 2 potentially, set themselves up for the Drake, then this could be right back to dead even or starting to be even favoring DAE here.
Not quite gotten there, so no pick coming through, but we do have a potential Drake. Well, yeah, Soul Point will be coming up for whoever manages to collect this next dragon, and definitely looking like a very real possibility that we might see a fight coming through here, and that is very quickly Paradox Creator getting the kill onto the ADC of Kung Fu Cats, and that just might be this Drake fight all but done already. Decided, but they still have vision on him. Not quite sure, and there it is. Okay, so the side of Divine Ascension do manage to pick up that. Drake will go into Soul Point, but all the while, Revon, jeez, Paradox Creator, that is only one big rocket did about half of Revon's health. I mean, it was mini Gnar, but dang, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of armor stacking here in the build from Revon. He's got the Thornmail, got the Dead Man's Plate. Not a lot of MR to be seen in that build, so definitely taking a lot of damage out of Paradox Creator's rockets. Those, of course, being mostly magic damage because of how Corki's passive works. And I think that we're starting to see a situation where for the team fights, it looks like the side of KFCA is a little bit shy about actually engaging on them. I mean, the easy go in buttons are on Ravon and Stunna, but Ravon didn't even show up to that dragon fight, and Stunna just kind of had a tough position to work anything out of. and the 5v4, just a little bit of killer instinct coming through from the side of DAE. They're able to pick up a kill, win the third Drake, and now they've got themselves an opportunity to pick up the Ocean Soul next time it comes up.
Yeah, and you were saying we are on soul point with that Ocean Soul, and that extra bit of sustain always feels nice, and actually might be it might have felt better on the side of Kung Fu Cats, just simply because of how much mana regen they would get from that soul. But I mean, first they do have to get it. However, this is saturation looking low, has the Heartbreaker to get away, flash in from Stunna, won't quite find the kill, but he changes over his attention to Corndosh, picking up that first kill at the start of this fight. And Bleeding Wolves, what are you doing there? Paradox Creator, however, did manage to get that kill onto that Xin Zhao, so currently a 2-for-1. And in the fight there, bit strange that one. Didn't quite catch what happened onto Stunna. I'd imagine it was just Paradox Creator throwing a few of his rockets there, but either way, we've got it.
Yeah, and
Sugar is getting very dangerously low. Hold on, Flaxen from Paradox Creator. Oh, but Dracula manages to stun too! That's the shutdown going on to the Corki, and that's also another kill going on to Sugar from the final spark there, and whew.
Now I get a chance to talk because the wipe comes through. Good stuns coming out from Dracula, and the laser does the work. And 2 kills immediately coming through. Now they're working over towards Baron, and this is the position that KFCA want to be in.
Yeah, definitely, and that event horizon from Dracula was just it was fight turning. There's no other way to put it. It was simple as not quite single-handedly turned that fight in the favor of Kung Fu Cats, but did a lot of work there. And well, now they're looking quite nice with the Baron buff sitting on them, and with the range of Lux and Caitlyn, they might just be feeling good to just siege out the rest of this Baron buff.
Yeah, this game's far from over, though. We got Drake coming up in a minute. That's Ocean Soul if DAE picks it up. And we've still got a few towers that have got to be knocked down before you can start getting into the base with this buff.
Sugar will snare too. Don't see much else there. Kind of just, probably wise idea from both teams to not fully commit to that, but you never know with these things that someone might pull the trigger. But for now, we're just going to get a bit of posturing from both these teams.
Yeah, look at the positioning. Rayvon looks like he's going towards trying to take down this mid-tier 2. We'll see if they can fight with 4v5 potentially.
Horizon used, so that'll be down for a bit longer. Just a bit of fishing between both these teams. However, Call of the Forge God has been used now, with the Tune being knocked up there, but there's just not quite enough follow-up for it. Bleeding Wolves snared up now. They'll have to jump away, and that's a lot of abilities already used. However, that's not a lot of his health bar that's been chunked out.
The longer this posturing goes, the more gets taken down in the mid lane.
That being said, the potential for the soul does come through, and so even though they're probably going to lose that inhibitor, we've got to fight in and around this dragon pit, and even though they've turned one back around, I'm not quite sure how much else they can do. Bleeding Wolves going low, Bleeding Wolves not quite going down. Teleport has to be used. 2 teleports being used, trying to stop Revon from ending this game. JDK coming through, lands a bit of damage onto Revon, but I mean, they're taking all their sweet time. His Paradox Creator loses half his health bar. That is both Nexus turrets down. That is an open Nexus, but all the while, I don't believe it'll be enough as the package does come through onto Corki. Paradox Creator lands the kill there, and all the while, Sugar and Yami are staying alive, actually. Bleeding Wolves uses every last bit of his health bar to keep this game going, but without 2 inhibitors and without either Nexus Tower, it's looking a bit rough for Divine Ascension, even though they did manage to get the Dragon Soul there.
Yeah, they may have committed just a little bit too much from it. I love how it ended up going for Kung Fu Cats Augusta. They were able to hold their line. They got a chance to steal it away. Actually, it went down to Paradox Creators, so I'm not sure if it was a missed smite earlier or if the missiles are just doing that much damage now to Drakes. But whatever the case, I think that well played out by Kung Fu Casa Augusta. They're able to take two inhibs, both of the Nexus towers as well. But now with the Ocean Soul, it's going to be a long, drawn out defense of the base before they can start using it. So Divine Ascension Emerald, they got their buff. Now let's see if they can use it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to look to stall out this game, in which will give a lot of time for the side of Kung Fu Cats to just really take whatever resources they want and put it on whoever they want. This game's already picked up the Hex Drinker, probably as a response to that. Just the amount of damage that's coming through out of Corky and a bit understandable. And well, I'm not quite sure what the damage numbers quite look like, but definitely a lot of work coming through this ADC, and also can't understate the amount of damage that Dracula's doing, though. Revon? Yeah, no. I mean, unlikely anything's going to happen there, but Paradox Creators, we look at the total gold, and it's just confirmation of what we already knew. And one of those things where it's like, I'm pretty sure all that gold is on this Corky, and in fact, all that gold is on this Corky, but Call of the Forge God is coming through. Not quite finding anyone there, but this Vagar's not quite down. Final Spark won't find the kill there. No, they'll just both walk away from this fairly. Even Corndoge living dangerously, though. Ooh. I don't know if that's what quite you wanted to do. Use the Gale Force, or actually the upgraded Gale Force, whatever it's called, the Ornament Gale Force, to try to find a pick at the back end of that fight, but instead he's only found the pick onto himself.
Yeah, a little bit of mispositioning there from Corn Doge. It looks like they're going to be able to defend their base. The recalls coming out, Baron Nashor calls coming up in just about 40 seconds here. So we'll see if it's going to be able to be secured. I can't imagine how this can be contested because you're looking at an exposed Nexus and any sort of teleport in the base. Ravon and Dracula both having that available. I think that it's just going to have to be given up here by Divine Ascension
Hold
Emerald.
on,
Now we're looking
saturation.
for a
He's
pick.
just caught out here, knocked up, and there it is. I don't believe there'll be any chance to contest now, as that is the jungler of the side of Divine Ascension being taken down with only 5 seconds before the Baron spawns. Bruh. That is the current
Yeah,
situation. That is the current situation for Divine Ascension Emerald. Maybe not
yeah.
exactly the cleanest execution of words, but I'm fairly certain that is their current mood in that camp.
Yeah, I think with the Baron going down here, it's going to become much, much more difficult to do anything to defend this open Nexus. Uh, the last inhib actually being pinged out here, so we'll see how it's going to be that KFCA go about finishing off the game. They're being very methodical right now. They're trying to not give over anything. I haven't seen a pick that they've given over in a little while, so that's a pretty good job there, making sure all of their members are remaining in the safe area. And they're just doing a good job of working the macro. They know how to play with the lead. So KFCA may be looking for the Elder Drake in here as well, going to be spawning up here in 45 seconds. They've got the threat of the end. One inhib is respawned, and the other one died right after it, so that one must be coming right back
And there
up.
it is. It's right back up too. So all inhibitors are back up. So no more super minions. So maybe, just maybe, Divine Ascension can find their way back into it. Forces a flash from Sugar on the curtain call. Very good stuff from the side of Corn Doge, but straight over to the bot side. Revon's down to half health. Heartbreaker will follow him up. Stun Gnar, and into the wall will keep that Gnar alive for now. But with Elder Drake coming up in just a few moments here, Kung Fu Cats will have the inside positioning for this fight and a bit of a knowledge advantage on what's coming through, but we look like we won't have much time between that final spark landing onto two. Bleeding Wolves snared up. Bleeding Wolves pro now going down. Paradox creating backline gets a lot of damage down onto Sugar, and there it is. Kill answered, but straight up, we got another kill coming onto the Caitlyn. And even though it's a bit hectic, it's looking like for now that Divine Ascension have taken that fight with 4 kills to their name, and only Revon is left alive without a flash. However, he's looking for the Gnar onto Corn Doge. Won't quite land his skill shots. Corn Doge going low, but he won't be able to take down. Actually, he will be able to take down Revon. Revon won't be able to take down Corn Doge. Excuse me for that, and that'll be an Elder Drake. This game, this game. We've got It has definitely been one hell of a game.
Yeah, well, it locked him down, locked him up, threw away the key, and now it's going to be another 40 seconds before Ravon is back out on the map. The rest of the respawns are starting to come up, so I'm not sure how much objective-wise is going to be able to pick up on the back end of this. But now they've got Elder Buff. I believe that they stalled it out long enough to get it on all 5 members. So it should be a lot of damage coming through. Paradox Creator, full build here on this Corki and doing a ton of poke. That's going to only be enhanced by the Elder Buff coming in. And
he just picked up a
it's
death
just going
cap
to have
too.
to be stalled out here. I think there's no way that you really fight on even terms if you're KFCA. So they're going to have to find a way to maybe find a pick is what they're looking for. But just stay alive and not allow the game to get ended on them right now.
Yeah, and they're definitely probably just going to have to concede any sort of map control that Divine Ascension do want to take for themselves. As I mean, that is a full build Corki that is that we have on our hands there. Not only is that full build, he does have the ornaments, as I said, as Paradox Creator, just trying to find a little extra bit of poke. As I would imagine there's not much being done about this tower going down, though. No wave just yet. But we got ourselves a siege. So all the while, unless if some sort of crazy fight breaks out, I don't believe there's really too much to say about the current state of the game. So nothing that we haven't said already.
Yeah. This is good. It's a wave clear with the Lux.
Yeah.
So that's less than a 30-second cooldown. So you can use that on every wave. I think that I'm watching here to see if there's any situation where double teleports towards the base of
The
DAE.
Port God is used, followed up by that curtain call. Trying to find every last little bit of damage that they can. Our Divine Ascension, but I believe they use this just to poke out a bit of the side of Kung Fu Cats and get that turned down so where they couldn't clear that wave. And as we saw, there's a good use of allocation of their ultimates as they're able to pick up their first inhibitor as they're starting to knock on the door. Did I hear like Zonya's used, or I'm not quite sure. Maybe somebody fat fingered Zonya's there, but I'm not certain of that. Yeah, that was I'm looking at Dracula's the one who used his Zonya's. Interestingly enough, not quite sure what that was for, but yeah, so we won't have that cooldown coming up the next fight. And there's the Revon. I mean, he has to face check this. Going low, but he stays alive for now. Saturation is taken down, so that is no more resets for this jungler. That being said, Revon just gone low again, but still not quite enough. Stunna, though. Maybe caught out here, going low. Gale Force comes through, not quite finding it there, but I think that was Minion aggro. The side of Divine Ascension don't have the Elder Burn anymore, so it has to have been Minion aggro that ended up getting the kill onto Stunna. So 1-for-1 trade on both junglers so far, and with with Baron coming up in about a second, we've got no smites on the map.
Yeah, and the vision still is choked out in the top side jungle by DAE. It looks like they want to start it off here, and we'll see if it gets contested.
Indeed, I think they definitely can. Bleeding Wolves use the Call of the Forge Rod immediately. Though he's knocked up, stunned up here. does use that stopwatch, will keep him alive just a little bit longer. Bleeding Wolves going low will stay alive long enough to allow his team to manage to pick up that Baron. However, they're not done with this. Kung Fu Cats are looking to find any last bit they can. However, they just might have found their doom, as that is Revon going down. But oh no, that is the Corky getting summed up by the Event Horizon, and all the while Saturation is back. Dracula going low as JDK picks up the kill onto the support, and Saturation also getting a kill onto that Vagar. Corndoge gets the 4th shot off, stays alive, keeps this match still going. And I don't think they have it quite enough to end off that one fight. However, they will get the higher number of kills, as it is a 4 for 3. Yeah, 4 for 3. As I am
Yeah, but Bleeding Wolves is coming back onto the map sooner. It's 10 seconds, whereas it's about 20 for the lowest remaining member of KFCA. So we'll see if they're going to be able to push this in. They might have an opportunity to come
they're using a
3v1.
teleport straight away. Bleeding Wolf still had that available, and he just might catch out Stunna here. And I don't believe there's much place for Stunna to go, and there's nowhere for him to go at this point. 3 members of the enemy team around here. What do? Maybe try to find all the damage you can onto Corndoge. Doesn't really find any, and especially with that region. Corndoge right back up to it, and Paradox Trader still coming through with that teleport. And with the numbers advantage here, they just might look to end. Call of the Torch God used, Sugar knocked up, and there it is, the layered CC. That's the Lux going down and continuing. It looks like it just might be over, as Divine Ascension have found a few more kills. That being said, Saturation getting the one there. Gnar used up, and the Heartbreaker is used. Dracula has no more health, and without any members left on the side of Kung Fu Cats, Divine Ascension Emerald will take game 1 in a rather hectic first game of this series.
Wow, what a way to start off the season. Sunpraise in this one has been one of the longest games that I've seen in a while.
Oh,
and
yeah,
one of
really.
the closest all the way through, both sides having their chances to win. And man, it got down to just the Nexus left for DAE, but they were able to defend it, make the comeback happen, and they were able to get the victory here in game number 1.
Yeah, it's just just immaculate patience really from the side of Divine Ascension. And if you take a look at the gold graphs, wow. Got those Blue Ridge Mountains over there until you get into that massive valley, and only at the very end did the side of Divine Ascension actually have a gold lead. And I mean, just incredible stuff. Not only we have to mention the amount that Paradox creator, I mean, it was an absolute massacre from the Corky. 50,000 damage dealt. That's more than 10,000. Checking, yeah, more than 10,000 damage than anybody else in the game. And whew, just incredible stuff from the side of Divine Ascension to close out that match. But it is a best of 3, so not quite done just yet. Might see a few adjustments to the draft coming up, Tiger.
Yeah, I think going into game number 2, a lot of the things worked out well for both of the sides, really. I would say that the comp that KFCA played did exactly what it was supposed to do. They got their early advantages in the bot side. I mean, Stunna was super fed
Oh
early
yeah.
on in the game.
Oh
Really
yeah.
good positioning from them. But then into the mid game, they just weren't able to quite close it out completely. They got very close many times, as well as having a lot of times where they had, one of the members of either of the teams gets picked off in a random situation, and at the end of the day, the commit of Ravon to go for split pushing while the Drakes went down ended up not working out for them. But I hope that we see a lot more of this macro play from KFCA trying to get themselves into the most winning position. And on the other side, just a good job all around from DAE to sustain out the slugfest, not give up on their win conditions even when they were being threatened at the base, and to just hold on through there and get to the point where they had their scaling in, their carries were online. I mean, Paradox Creator doing so much work there, carrying like the last 3 or 4 fights of the game. Just good stuff all around.
And I believe with that note, we are going to send it to a short break, but when we come back, we will have the draft of Game 2 on this Junior Sunday between Defiance Ninja Emerald and Kung Fu Cats. We'll see you then. Don't go anywhere. And we've got ourselves a bit of change of sides here for game 2 between Divine Ascension Emerald and Kung Fu Chance Augusta. For those who are tuning in, I am Sun Praising. Alongside me is Tiger. And yeah, that's the state we are. Kung Fu Cats do need the win here to keep this series alive.
Yeah, I mean, game one, pretty much a marathon game. I think that from the side of both teams, they'll be looking to use whatever minutes of rest that they got to get themselves back mentally prepared for game number 2. I know after a long game that I have a hard time personally getting back into the mode of being at level 1 champion state. I definitely get used to being level 18 with all my items ready to go. But we're getting right into draft here, so definitely seeing that Corky band away as well.
That'll leave Victor open, and he was banned last time out, and though Victor Corky's been a very common mid lane matchup, we won't be seeing that this time around as DAE lock in that priority mid laner immediately.
Yeah, that definitely shows the difference in the draft style between DAE and KFCA. When KFCA was on the blue side, they definitely had more priority towards bot lane, and they've still held this true until this second draft. They've got the Xayah Rakan locked in immediately. I won't be surprised if we see it from DAE that they stick with the mid jungle priority. But as I say that, they locked in Morgana.
Another one of those classic Caitlyn duos with the with the really long dark binding this time around, and sometimes you just sit there forever as you watch your health bar go down and you're locked up for 3 years. You get the AFK warning, and oh no, there's the gray screen now. But either way, that means Urgot, who we saw banned out last time, as never mind. Last second switch over to Vex.
Yeah, I think that both sides should be pretty happy with the direction that they're going already in the draft. DAE picking up some more early game stuff this time around, but Victor, of course, still some late game scaling insurance policy. And then for KFCA, they've got great hard engage with the Vex and Rakan, so I'm definitely expecting them to pop off in the team fights. So not much tankiness going on so far, so definitely will be expecting that for the top laners. Maybe tanks in the jungle as well. We'll see if each of these teams decide that they need one frontliner or two.
I actually quite like the Strundle hover if they do end up locking it in, as back to Ornn. Never mind, they'll pick Ornn. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Trundle, as Morgana, Caitlyn, Victor don't exactly have too many ways to escape that pillar, but instead they will pick up Ornn for themselves for Kung Fu Cats. Seeing how effective and reliable Ornn's engage is when he blows his horn as the game goes on. But I don't know. I think I would have really liked to see Trundle here, and all the while, this just might open up Trundle to be locked in for DAE.
Yeah, I think with the Kennen coming in here, that definitely spices up some of these team fights. I love to see the Kennen ult come through. You teleport in behind the enemy team and then just get all the stuns off. So they should have a lot of ability to skirmish here effectively, especially in like 3v3 settings. So DAE definitely getting themselves some early advantages as well. The Caitlyn Morgana definitely are the strongest part of the early game. As we talked about last game with the Caitlyn Lux, all those same things apply. Kindred coming in from KFCA means that they're a little bit light on the tankiness, but the Kennen did pretty much the same thing for DAE. So I think that a lot of ability this game to just blow up enemy team health bars. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. or if it's just a little bit of poke coming through from both sides. But I would expect a lot of picks coming out once again. These teams
I
both are great at catching.
I actually really like this Kindred pick, especially because Kinnan was selected. I mean, Lamb's Respite essentially nullifies any sort of teleport flank that Kinnan tries to pull off, unless they can obviously bait it out first on the side of DAE. So even though, as you did say, there's not exactly a lot of tankiness outside of Ornn on the side of Kung Fu Cats, I do actually like Kindred being locked in here.
Yeah, it kind of gives tankiness in a different sort of way. I mean, the unkillability with the Lamb's Respite is going to be important to use. That can definitely bail someone out of getting hit by a Morgana binding and then just put in the combo machine. But at the same time, once you put that up, you gotta deal enough damage to get the fight back onto level terms. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. I think that Yami looked pretty good in the last game, so I'm excited to see the Zaya pick here, see if it's going to be more effective as the hyper carry option than getting that early game effectiveness out of the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and Caitlyn Morgana, obviously one of those duos that's always going to, well, almost always going to push out the enemy bot lane. And so even though Zyra Khan definitely the classic duo bot lane, who Rito needs to stop giving separate skins for each other, please. I don't understand that. But my gripes aside, with that, yeah, definitely. I haven't actually seen too much of Zyra Khan played as a duo. I know Zaya's been played with it. Was it freaking with almost, why is that Airy sometimes being picked onto the Zaya with lethality, and a semi poke build sometimes. Definitely, maybe something to look out for, especially as you mentioned, there not being too much tankiness from this Vine Ascension this time around.
Yeah, interesting call out. It'll be interesting to see if that ends up coming to pass or if it's going to be more of a traditional crit build. I think with the Kindred here, that's definitely an option that I wouldn't mind seeing. Kindred can give you more of that consistent damage if you want to go more towards the lethality route on the Zaya. And lethality might be able to stand up a little more effectively in lane as well, because you're just trying to throw out max range Q, pick up the CS, put down some poke. Caitlyn loves to poke as well, so maybe that's the option you want to go with to have a little bit more agency in the lane. But whatever the case, it should be a good game here. I think with the Morgana always going to be able to set up some black shields, try to get the carries to be able to get off whatever it is that they need to get done. Not get blown up by Vex Fear into Rakan Charm into whatever other CC it might be coming through. But a lot of engage coming through from Kung Fu Cats Augusta, so we'll see if they're going to be able to get set up, get into their team fight situations, and then execute properly.
And with that, who do you have for winning this game too, Tiger? Before we send it to the spectator delay.
Well, this one's got to be a close one, but I liked what I saw from DAE in game number 1, so I'll go with them because they were able to come away with the win in game number 1, so I will give them the slight advantage.
So deciding on precedence from what we've seen, and with that, we will throw it to a quick little break as the spectator delay does have to go through. When we're back, we will have loaded into Game 2 between Divine Ascension Emerald and Kung Fu Cats Augusta on this Junior Sunday. See you then. We have finally loaded into game 2, and we've got a little bit of top lane shenanigans here at level 1. Looking for an invade. JDK will have to burn the flash out of Reven there, as the Dark Binding would have definitely resulted in a kill.
Yeah, good respect flash there, I think, by Ravon. But looking back over the teams, interesting that we're seeing an unsealed spell book on the Ornn. I'm not familiar with what runes that Ornn always goes by. I would expect that it would be something like Aftershock or Grasp normally. But this time it's going to be the unsealed spell book, so we'll see what spells come out of the book.
Yeah, I think normally it tends to be Grasp with the Undying that Ornn will go, but I mean into a Kinnan, I'm really not sure how he'd be able to proc it that much in lane. So probably the smart decision is to not go with that, and unsealed spellbook. It might give him a little bit more utility throughout the rest of this game, and considering especially now that he doesn't have flash, he might be able to make up for it with something else that he can open up to.
Yeah, we'll see if that ends up getting locked in anytime soon.
Level 1 though, the classic between bot lane both, and there's a thing we did mention it in there. We did see it there. Usually you think of Xayah and Rakan on their own. Generally, they'll tend to not start their W's, but when they are together, they can actually find a surprising amount of early damage if they both level W. So a bit unconventional there, but definitely not unknown, and that's what we got a bit of viewing of early on in the bot lane there.
Yeah, I think that a pretty good job to get the level 2 first here from DAE's bot lane. But a good trade coming out, just forcing out some potions. I think it was just about even on the trade. Corn Doge has a refillable, so he's got one charge extra. But the extra healing coming through from the Doran's Blade should just about make up for that, I think.
Oh, hold on. That's quite a bit of damage coming through onto Sugar. That being said, countered away. Corn Doge does flash away from that. I'm not sure if he really needed to, as he was black shielded, and probably would have been. I believe he would have avoided the knock up there from Rakan's grand entrance, but never hurt to be safe.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've communicated about what spells were available. Because normally on Morgana you want to get your W at level 2, sometimes even level 1, depending on the situation. Obviously they went for the cheese.
Hold on, that's Corn Doge getting locked up there. He said he has Black Shield in the time, so Corn Doge isn't knocked up, but it is still enough damage through that Ignite for Sugar to pick up that first blood. And Meanwhile, I don't know. Are they going to try to dive this? But actually, no. Straight up to the top side. Right back to the bot. No, apparently that gank coming through, and they will try to dive it, but I believe a kill's going all over the place. So that gank to the top side. Did come through, and actually, Yami didn't even take any damage, so no kill credit will go over to the side of JDK or any of Divine Ascension Emerald in that fight either. So really good stuff from both teams in those cross map play.
Yeah, we're seeing a little more of a trade in the top
Actually,
side.
hold on. Bleeding Wolves and Revon, like they're going after each other and straight over to the mid lane. The gravity field not quite landing a few there, though. Saturation flashes in with the pillar, and I mean, at best, that was going to be a trade of flashes because Dracula still has his. All the while, Saturation, I mean, his team is close behind. Dracula will flash away from that dark binding as Sugar is starting to join up here. So I mean, I'm trying to read the situation as what might transpire, but it's very touchy-feely from both teams so far. Just not quite wanting to commit to anything just yet, and it doesn't look like they will.
Yeah, well, it seems like they want to commit to fighting, but they can't figure out when they win and when they lose. And they keep going back and forth between feeling like they're going to win and feeling like they're going to lose. So there's been a lot of tension out throughout this early game. Just look at the flash timers. You got Flash has been expended by Saturation, Corn Doge, Sugar, Yami, and Dracula already in this game in the first 5 minutes. Now with the Drake available, it'll be interesting to see how quickly that these teams want to prioritize. But with only 3 kills coming through and then 1 execute so far.
Hold on, they're looking for the engage here. Sugar not quite landing his brand entrance, and well, I would imagine JDK would have had the Black Shield anyway to have kept his ADC safe there from any sort of CC. So had a bit of a meeting in the mid lane as well, though not much more. But with the Drake up, as you said, I mean, I would be very surprised if either of them started up here, as both teams should know that both junglers are in the same vicinity as each other. And you never know. Never know.
Yep. Looks like both of the junglers just...
Hold on, JDK might have been caught out here. Does have to flash away. So at the start of this fight, Corn Doge, that being said, on the side, will have enough damage though. Stays alive just to get the kill onto the enemy ADC. And meanwhile, Stunna trying to go in and find the rest of that damage. Does get the kill onto Corn Doge, but it is a 2-for-1 victory on the side of Divine Ascension. And with the Drake up, I mean, it doesn't look like immediately they're running over to it, but they should still try to take it, I would imagine.
Yeah, but with the death timers this short, this early in the game, it looks like they won't be able to get there before Dracula.
Dracula does have level 6 though.
Yeah, looks like they'll just allow the recall to go through. Maybe it will be flipped on its head with KFCA having an opportunity to go towards this Drake on the resets. But in that last fight, Paradox Creator making good use of the leashed teleport. It's not unleashed yet, but just going to the bot lane tower and having an impact on the fight. I'm pretty impressed that he was able to come up with that idea.
Bit of creativity being shown, but meanwhile, even quite a bit of damage. Yami's in maybe a little bit of a trouble situation. Will have to expend his ultimate. That being said, does get a lot of return damage onto Corn Doge, and all the while, that was the Black Shield used, and close in tow is the rest of his team. They just might try to find a dive here. Stunna does get finded, though. Here's Dracula and Stunna, and without that Black Shield available, will come through, and that's the first kill onto Corn Doge. Yeah, that is a double kill actually on Dracula, and even though Bleeding Wolves will use his teleport to this bot lane, really won't be able to do much to turn the tides of that fight, and that is a very well executed dive from the side of Kung Fu Cats.
Yeah.
On slicing
Runeterra-
Maelstrom will be used just to
Just gonna
clear the way.
away.
Never mind. I mean, I figured that's what it would be for, but I mean, you never know. The Feather Storm
Flash
had
was
already been used, so, but no.
Flash was up. Could have happened. You're right.
Could have, but no.
But anyways, good dive execution there. Dracula able to come in with the Shadow Surge into personal space combination. That's so much of an effective engage of a fight. Sugar not able to connect on the grand entrance, but just didn't end up mattering all that much. Good aggro juggling as well.
Wait, did Stun? I think Stunna got that mark. The Kindred.
Let's check the marks. 3 marks so far.
Do you know what they had before that? Actually, wait, I have to cut you off here. Call of the Forge God is used to try to clear out this wave as much as possible. Riverfield was used to top out this map. Though I mean, tower plating's still up, and that final plate can take so much damage before it really start to worry about losing any sort of first tower there, and still take quite a bit of gold into the top side of this map. That is Divine Ascension Emerald you're speaking about there.
Yeah, interesting how it's come about that there's a lane swap as Bleeding Wolves kind of teleported into the bot lane and then just never left. And then on the reset, Corndoge and JDK ended up going for it.
Hold on, Stunna trying to go for an invade, perhaps trying to maybe another mark. I don't believe so, but we'll have to use that Lamb's Respite, keeping himself alive. And well, I'm trying to recall if I saw any sort of major cooldowns. I think JDK did end up having Dracula out of Surge. I'm a bit hopeful with that, but I believe only the Ignite was used. However, JDK doesn't quite respect Reven's damage. Will be killed there. However, Ace in the Hole will finally come through, gets that kill. Meanwhile, Paradox Creator getting low, but not quite down. Saturation is there to stop it for now. Don't quite done just yet. Paradox Creator not quite avoiding the damage there. One auto attack from Sugar, one more, but yeah, the Ignite's just not quite going to be enough. Paradox Creator walks out with very, very minimal HP.
Yeah, the invade not able to quite yield a kill there for KFCA. Not even able to get to the mark, so that's a little bit unfortunate there. A lot of investment put into that. But now we see the Crown of the Shattered Queen coming through from both mid laners, so both of them going to be a lot more effective coming through with the first item. A lot harder to kill as well. We saw the entire first tower got taken out by Corndoge. So Corndoge feeling pretty good, down a few CS, but making up for that with some kills.
Yeah, but I mean how many plates are we looking at here? And actually, look at the take a look at the gold graph right about now. We had ourselves a nice Red Valley, but it started to come back up and started about to level out as really it's with the gold difference is within 100 gold, so practically effectively negligible at this point. Though we just might get a fight coming through here as Reven and Stunna in the vicinity may try to find an engage here before this Infernal Drake does come up.
Yeah, Drake coming up in 10 seconds. Maybe not before as it spawns. Team, this has been a common theme I've seen around the Drakes. Both teams in both games.
Yeah, your mic, Tiger, your microphone's coming. It's a bit strange Right now, well, your sound not quite coming through cleanly, but all the while, I guess this will be temporary solo cast, as that is Kung Fu Cats picking up the first strike there, and that's actually going to be the Call the Forge God missed, but straight up to the top half of this fight, JDK getting down to about half health. However, that was a bit ill-advised from Dracula as he gets the enemy support low, but not quite down. And all the while, Stunner will have to use Lamb's Respite to keep him alive for a little bit longer. All these health bars going low. However, Saturation does manage to stay alive, as well as JDK. So not quite finding it just yet, as that is the jungler finally going down as Yami flashes over, uses the Feather Call, does manage to get that in turn, and all the while that is another shutdown going on to JDK. So a very hectic fight, but overall I believe that is a 2-for-2 and a top tower being taken up by Paradox Creator.
Yeah,
And,
so
yeah.
pretty close throughout that entire fight. Hopefully my mic is back to
You're back. You're
in a
back.
proper
At least for
state.
now.
All right, good deal.
Shoot.
And
I cursed it.
really
I cursed it. It's no longer back. Damn. Well, we're going to sort that out and take a look over at the XP and gold, as for the first time, Divine Ascension Emerald have managed to pick up a significant gold lead for the first time. So right into that Red Canyon, into those Blue Ridge Mountains, and yeah, we're going to try to see if we can get Tiger back anytime soon. But for the time being, it is me. And a few things. Tiger, I heard you disconnect and come back in. Maybe we actually have a fight coming through. Sugar tries to find the swiftness into the grand entrance. However, Saturation's looking in a very out position. Not quite enough follow-up damage. Won't decide to go in. That one, Dracula does hold on to his ultimate for a better time. But yes, Tiger.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me. I think well, now we might have a fight, so we might have to go.
Oh yeah, we just might have something around this Herald here. Fights all over the place. Sugar does finally go down. Stunner going low. I must have not had Lamb's Respite available, as he's killed there without using it. Revon now finally uses the Call of the Forge God. Won't land any knockups there, and that is a very decisive fight going over in favor of Divine Ascension Emerald. That is a 3-for-0, and they're starting to, even though they had a fairly rough start to this game, they're starting to pull it back in their favor now. They look to perhaps close out this series in just 2. Corndoge though, Corndoge getting very dangerous with his positioning there, thinking he can take on Yami, and that's a shutdown going on to this Zaya, and another bit of gold into the pocket of this ADC, and you know Zaya does like getting up through a bit, and it wasn't actually that that's a lethality build that we were talking about potentially coming through early on, as that Gale Force is in Yami's inventory. But with the Herald being taken and used, that is another tower being claimed by Divine Ascension Emerald, Tiger.
Yeah, I think that while it's not the lethality build, picking up that Gale Force instead of a Kraken Slayer is a lot more combat focused. So I definitely think that that is kind of an in-between for Yami here. Should still have some pretty solid DPS. And right now at 4-2 and 5, should be pretty confident going into any sort of 1v1s. We saw in the fight around the Drake that Yami just basically walked forward, Gale forced forward, and then ulted and flashed to reposition and get all the feathers in the right spot to finish off the double kill. And pretty aggressive play from him has definitely kept KFCA in this game.
I actually don't know if this is possible, but can Zaya use the Gale Force active while she is in Feather Storm? I don't actually know. I mean, I would imagine she should be able to, but you never know with these things. Rito does get a bit strange sometimes, though we do have a Cloud Drake coming up in these next few seconds. Revon taking a lot of damage straight to the face as Saturation's looking to find the engage here. Called Forge God won't quite be landed, but as we were saying there, Lamb's Respite pretty much nullifies that whole entire slicing maelstrom, and so immediately at the start of this fight, it is 1 kill going over in favor of Kung Fu Cats. But the positioning is slightly in favor to Divine Ascension Emerald as they look to pick up this next Drake. Dark Binding does land onto Sugar. There goes back straight into the middle of it all. Sugar, however, won't quite have enough health. Orin Doge picking up the kill onto Revon, and this fight is really hectic. We take an overlook at where we are now. Stunna looking very low. Yami, though. Yami, the one with all the damage under his belt. Still at roughly full health and not done here just yet.
I think that was a great job by DAE of dealing with the Shadow Surge coming in. It hit Corn Doge, and immediately JDK drops the black shield on top of Corn Doge, and then Corn Doge just leaves everyone else to get to an isolated spot, try to escape, using the Gale Force and the 90 caliber net, all of that to try to get out, and able to do so. So no resets come through for Dracula. And the fight goes even, so it's not like an optimal situation because at the beginning of the fight, they kind of expended all of Bleeding Wolves' utility and weren't able to pick up anything there. But an extended trade 3-for-2 in favor of KFCA, so pretty close on the lines, well fought from both sides. But now Soul Point coming up for the side of KFCA, so they've got to wait 5 more minutes, and then they have their opportunity to take control of this game.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a Cloud Soul, and though the movement speed it always feels nice, I think in terms of the composition they have, they don't really. The side of Kung Fu Cats don't really have that one champion that's like, yes, they press hard, they go fast, they win. Not something like Olaf or Diana level of benefits from it. So
what about Rakan? His ult is literally
Rakan, true, but I think Rakan usually layers his ultimate immediately with a fight as we come through. Swiftness there. We'll knock up a couple, and there it is. The cannon does go down, though, with a bit more damage coming through. It won't quite matter, as that is a lot of kills going over in favor of Kung Fu Cats. Currently a 3-for-2, but JDK's low, and with Dracula and the rest of the Kung Fu Cats close and toast. Stunna won't quite find the damage onto JDK, and actually on the back end of this, a little bit dangerous. Took quite a large chunk of damage.
They gotta start Baron?
They are going to start Baron. They should be able to take this really fast. I mean, they have Kindred and Xayah here, with both live members of Divine Ascension Emerald having to recall. I don't imagine there's much that they can really do to stop this. Dracula actually might need to look out for his health bar there. We'll walk away. That is the Baron claimed.
Yeah, good execution there. And I wanted to go right back to the last fight and say, for Yami, that was a huge fight. The positioning was perfect, right on the edge of not getting hit by the slicing maelstrom and not walking into the rest of the team around the corner. Now we may be in trouble.
Hold on, Stunna will be hit by the pillar. Lamb's Respite does come down. Not quite sure if that was completely necessary as it comes through. None of his allies or himself managed to really get any value out of that Kindred ultimate, so it being available, really good use, really good bait of the abilities there. That is a lot of cooldowns being used by the side of Kung Fu Cats. 3 major ones, so obviously the Ram's Respite and Call of the Forge God, and if I believe, if I saw correctly, Sugar also used the Swiftness, so it stands. That is 3 major ultimates not going to be available for Kung Fu Cats for the next few minutes. However, Saturation looking to live a bit dangerously.
I really don't mind blowing those cooldowns at all, actually. Now here we go.
Doge will be knocked through. There's enough damage to go through that black shield. Now JDK will burn his ultimate to try to slow them down, but it doesn't seem like it'll be enough. They do manage to turn 1 kill back onto Revon. And so it's currently sitting at a 1-for-1 between these two teams here, and with health bars very low for both teams, I would imagine that both might try to find something, but overall we'll probably both just side against it.
Yeah, I was just about to say I didn't mind all the cooldowns being blown because the Drake spawned about 2 minutes from when all of the initial ults were blown before Dracula went in with the Shadow Surge. So I think all of them should be back up except for maybe that ult from the mid laner for KFCA by the time that the Drake spawns. And that's really the next big objective that they want to take a fight around. They're looking to finish off the Soul. Still trying to utilize this Baron buff to get a little bit more of a push going in. They were able to pick up that mid tier 1, so that will kind of unlock going for some extra vision plays around the map. It's a lot easier to chase people down trying to go retreat towards that turret line without that outer turret there. And now they should be in position to take this Drake potentially. They might need a steal to come through from saturation to stay alive in the Drake count.
Yeah, but there's a dark binding coming through, and actually that is a Kindred getting very low. Actually, no, it's Dracula getting very low. Lamb's Respite will be used to keep him alive for now, though. So one major cooldown having been used right at the start of this fight, and Rayvon, I mean, he's looking low. Dracula also not looking very healthy, so that'll give Kung Fu Cats a tough
Well,
time.
Bleeding Wolves is looking for
Divine
a
Ascension. Yeah, I mean, we see Bleeding Wolves, as you said, looking for any sort of flank. He still does have Flash available, though. A bit of nerves, still a bit of nerves between these two teams. Not quite sure where everybody's positioning is. However, Dracula did have teleport available, so we'll recall and restore his health and mana there. Dragon is started up. Stunning now reveals his location. Moving around this Drake. Flash in from Bleeding Wolves, trying to find the Slicing Maelstrom. Will land the kill onto one there. However, Stunning does manage to find the Drake. Will get the soul, but as a result, back in this fight, it's currently sitting at a 2-for-2. Yami, Gilbert Zin finds another kill there. And I mean, we know Zai is fed at this point, but god damn, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, Yami carrying the fight once again. And it was super important there. Look at Dracula's health bar. It was below half when he recalled. So getting that recall off and then teleporting back in made a big difference in the fight. Stunna as well able to secure the Drake for the side of Kung Fu Cats Augusta. That means that they've got the Cloud Soul now. And a 2,000 gold lead at this point in the game means that they should have a pretty good advantage for the remainder of the game.
Take a look at that total gold, though. Yami has 3,000 more than any of, and then the next closest, which is Skarndosian. Oh, I mean, really, kind of got a good demonstration of what that looked like in the last fight. He's also sitting at level 15. I believe that is the highest in the game. And a quick search, yes, that is indeed highest level in the game. Yami looking, I mean, obviously he's going to be a major competitor for these few upcoming fights. Baron is up in 50 seconds, Tiger, so perhaps we'll be able to see more.
Never able to get that big slicing maelstrom off yet this game. I think that a lot of the time it's just been kited out. It's been blocked by the Lamb's Respite. I'm keeping my eye out, though, because just one can change the whole momentum of the game. So Bleeding Wolves definitely is still on a pick that has to be watched out for. Kung Fu Cats Augusta, though, doing a good job so far, making sure to avoid getting one shot for their entire team by it. We'll see if they're able to continue with that. Yami's been a pretty big carry so far, so I'll be watching to see if Divine Ascension Emerald can sort of lock it down. I mean, it's hard to do with that Featherstorm available, especially
Very difficult, yeah.
But gotta find a way to stop Yami from carrying all of these fights this hard.
I believe, yeah, that's Kindred sitting on 12 marks of the Kindred as well. So Hitting that point, I believe it's every 4 that it gets a damage and range increase. No, but straight up to this. I believe it's every 4 marks, right? Is that
I think it's the first one's 4, and then it's every 3 after that, but I'm not 100% on that.
Well, either way, Stun is still sitting on quite a few himself there, so it can't be completely ignored.
Whatever.
Which he might be able to output if given the space and time to do so. We've got a snare coming through. Sugar knocked up by that binding. Revon will use a Call of the Forge God to prevent any further fight there, so one large cooldown used from the side of Kung Fu Cats, though really it's only the Baron that's currently available.
Yeah, and I think that with this Cloud Soul, it's sort of a situation where you can kind of throw out the ultimate. I don't think that it's the ult CDR on the stats for it anymore. At one point it was, but still, the ults are on a short enough cooldown that right now it's Kung Fu Cats just feeling comfortable going for using them and just trying to find any pick that they can get potentially.
Are Defiance Engine going to try to flip this? Hold on, wait a moment. Wait a second, we've actually got ourselves a fight coming through. That is Stunna getting locked up by the Dark Binding, but meanwhile, as soon what looked like Divine Ascension trying to start up this Baron has quickly turned around, and with how fast Kung Fu Cats can take these neutral objectives, they're just back off here. That being said, the engage trying to be found from Divine Ascension, but I don't believe they'll have enough because the Slicing Maelstrom will come through. But as we said, Lamb's Respite doing so much damage there. Yami held onto that Feather Call for God knows how long, and that will be Saturation flashing away, staying alive here. Paradox Creator not quite getting knocked. Not quite sure how Saturation went down there, but either way, that is yet another kill. That is a 4-for-1. Going over in favor of Kung Fu Cats, and with this Baron available, I do believe they should be able to take it without any sort of contest. And another high-value Lamb's Respite from the side of Kung Fu Cats and Stunna. It was one thing that we pointed out at this, even in draft, and well, it's really coming through so far, and especially as we've gone later on in this game, Tiger.
Yeah, that was about the best one that I've seen. It was a 5-man, it seemed, but then Yami was able to get out with a flash, and that meant that all of a sudden Yami is still full health, despite the fact that it looks like everyone's got low health bars. And the rest of the fight, Yami's just setting it up, putting down a triple kill, and as you said, 4-for-1 on the fight. We'll see now with the Elder coming up, if there's a chance for Divine Ascension Emerald to fight back.
I mean, I'd imagine that DAE would have to pretty much just try to flip this here. Thinks that I'll knock up for a little bit, because I mean, without this Elder Drake, they probably just it would take Kung Fu Cats. It would be due to Kung Fu Cats' misplays. Really, the only way that they lose without taking this Elder Drake. At least I would believe that to be the case, as that's quite a bit of damage going on with JDK. They're just poking each other out a bit here. Revon. Do they have? I'm not sure if they have vision on Bleeding Wolves though. Bleeding Wolves, they will see him now at the very least. That I think that's an early Gale Force used from this Caitlyn, and on the side, Sugar trying to find the flank there. Just won't get it now. And Slicing Maelstrom is actually back up. Yami will get the kill before Dracula goes down. So what looked like a very good Slicing Maelstrom actually turned out to be largely in favor of the side of Kung Fu Cats. Lamb's Respite will keep 3 alive. However, Revon will go down, and so will Stunna, even though he managed to keep him alive with that Lamb's Respite, and with 4 alive on the side of Divine Ascension. They will claim that Dracula. Yeah. The Elder Immolation. Oh, whoops. Dracula is killed by that Ace in Hole on the back end of that fight. And with 3 members down of the side of Kung Fu Cats, with not much available on the map for Divine Ascension, they're just going to have to try to fit this one out to the best of their abilities.
The pick on the Sugar at the beginning of that fight was so huge because that meant that a lot of the engage power that's guaranteed, you go for the quickness into flash into knockup. You can't really avoid that, but with all that gone, now it's a 5v4 that you can work with, and Bleeding Wolf's able to take the health bars low, as he pretty much has in all the fights. But this time it's followed up by the Elder Drake being taken down and 2 more kills come through. And Divine Ascension Emerald able to win out on the fight. Now 4 members have the Elder Dragon buff, and they should be able to use this to leverage at least taking out the last tier 2, I would think.
And it's also, I'd also say it's semi-important to mention that I've just checked through the chat that 1,400 gold was gained by Divine Ascension Emerald just on objective bounties alone. So they've managed to close this gap and to make it practically negligible, at least on gold, between themselves and Kung Fu Cats, as we saw probably about a minute ago with the gold graphs getting shown once again, as it looked like a roller coaster there, like honestly like a one that would look fun to ride. However, I think these two teams posturing around and looking like they just both want a 5v5 in this mid lane now.
Yeah, if we get a short second before the fighting all breaks out, I did want to mention that with the gold being evened up, you still have to look at how it's distributed, because still right now 5,000 advantage in the bot lane for Yami, but in the mid lane it's Paradox Creator with about 4,000 advantage, and then the rest of the map pretty even all around. So we'll be looking to see if Paradox Creator can carry out the fights after quietly growing this large lead over Dracula.
Got ourselves a potential death bush. Sugar getting very close to it. They do have a pink ward in on that bush, and so Yami might not see it coming. Yami goes down. That is a massive shutdown going on to this victor at the start of the fight. Sugar also trying to find something at the back end, but without their biggest carry in that fight, that's 2 for nothing in favor of Divine Ascension Emerald. With the wave pushing in, they might just look to end.
All your gold is dead. How are you going to defend the base? They'll have to find a way. Dracula's got the Shadow Surge. They've got some good AoE abilities, but is it going to be enough?
We'll see here as Call of the Forge God is used. Lands a knockup onto one. Not quite able to fully clear out that wave. And that's the first Nexus turret going down, and another objective bounty being obtained by DAE. Though I don't believe they really have much else more. They still look, I mean, yeah, you know, Yami, you don't have vision there. That jungle's not quite yours, and he's managed to pay for that one mistake.
Yeah, also unfortunate that Stunner wasn't quite in range yet to go for like a Flash Lamb's Respite and try to keep Yami alive. It was just like a catch. And for all of the 5-man slicing Maelstrom, that's
quite low though. He's holding on to that. Smite, and we'll actually force the Lamb's Respite out of Stunna. We'll claim that Baron, and for all 5 members of the side of Divine Ascension Emerald, so they're looking quite good to not only just end this game and the series, as they have now regained their gold lead. As look at that gold graph over time. That is quite the journey that we see there. But yeah,
it's like our journey from last game almost, I would say, going from pretty heavily in favor of Kung Fu Cats Augusta to swinging back over to Divine Ascension Emerald. Now, I still think that it's a very close matchup right now. We're going to have another Elder Drake coming up here in just about a minute. Should be an opportunity for Kung Fu Cats to get themselves in a situation where they're back in control. still have that Cloud Soul buff available. So have a little bit better than being down about 4,000. But Ravon could be in trouble here.
John will be snared up. He's still looking. I mean, he's got all the health available. Will use the exhaust there, but has the ability with that unsealed spellbook to get his flash back, so won't really worry too much there. But another death wish. Stunna with one auto attack actually did quite a sizable amount of damage with JDK, and they're actually looking to take the rest of this fight, and there it is, straight into the back, shut down onto Caitlyn, and slicing Maelstrom isn't enough to take down Yami, and that is two members at the beginning of this fight already taken down from the side of DAE. However, Paradox Creator will find one in return, and they have quite a few really low health bars on the side of Kung Fu Cat, so this isn't quite completely over just yet for the side of Divine Ascension.
Yeah, Yami's full health.
Don't quite know. Dearie me, Saturation did not quite see the enemy team sitting behind that wall. Used the blast cone to pop over there, but it was not the safest hop ever, and he is now down. And with the Elder Drake going over to the side of Kung Fu Cats, I mean, this game has been whew. It's been something.
Series has been this way. It's back in its fourth, and it's going each way. The objectives are falling. Elder Drake for each team this game, and Kung Fu Cats now have a chance to try to close in on the base for themselves. Now, mid inhib was the target that DAE decided to go for when they had their advantage. They still have the inhib down, so they should be able to get a little bit of pressure back in the mid wave. Now all the members are back up, so it's 5-on-5 on the map. And we'll see if the side of Kung Fu Cats Augusta is able to push into the base, just how far they're able to get. They've got a lot of long range options here. Yami could shred through an entire team if he gets into range. But right now, both sides playing it out a little bit tentatively, just trying to pick up any standing gold on the map.
Yeah, and especially, I would say especially Dracula, as, I mean, sometimes you forget minions exist, it happens. That's the best of us sometimes. More and more, actually, Call of the Forge God is used and actually interrupted by the Frozen Pillar of Saturation. So that is one fairly large cooldown unavailable for now on the side of Kung Fu Cats, and that will be available for them for the next. I mean, it has to be on a tiny cooldown now, surely, right?
It's 70 seconds. So.
70 seconds. So yeah, just over a minute, but that is perhaps a window where maybe a slight miscommunication, maybe an error of judgment that is found on the side of the Divine Ascension Emerald to Kung Fu Cats just might be what they need. But
yeah, Kung Fu Cat's hard committing here to the mid lane right now, not looking to push towards that mid tier 2 or bot tier 2 that they have a wave kind of setting up for, but it looks like they want to dive.
They might try to find it onto JDK, who's already taken a lot of damage at the early part of this fight. He's probably going to go down. That is Dracula putting on the first kill. However, that slicing Maelstrom does do enough to get 2, and straight away, it's 2-2 at the start of this fight. Yami gets the kill onto that Kinnan for now. Ravon will have to call the Forge God back. That was Doge flashing into that there. Ravon now down to, like, probably, 200 health now on that Ornn. Will probably have to look to walk away. Yami, however, is knocked up by that Frozen Pillar, but he just does so much damage, gets that return kill onto the enemy Caitlyn, despite the fact that it was the decision of Divine Ascension to try to start that fight themselves.
Yeah, Divine Ascension just take the Elder buff wearing off as the go button. But as it turns out, Stunna was able to set himself up with the Lance Respite. It was a good slicing Maelstrom coming out from Bleeding Wolves there. Able to pick up a couple of kills. But on the back end of the fight, Yami is just cleaning it up once again. 16-3-12 on this Gaia. Able to make it a numbers advantage. 3-for-2, I believe, on the back end of the fight, as Yami is able to pick up another kill. and they're able to
Even
break
in
the
saturation, say hello to each other a bit there. We might have a fight coming through just now. That pillar's in a very dangerous spot for Ord. So very peculiar use of the frozen pillar, but just back away from that now. And look at how fast that Kung Fu Cats take this Baron.
Yeah,
That is wow. Eviscerated. Absolutely eviscerated.
objective bounties coming back around at 43 minutes.
Well, look at you.
All of a sudden, the gold has swung back in favor of Kung Fu Cats Augusta. They've got 2,000 gold lead. They've got the Cloud Soul. They're looking at going for this bot tier 2. Maybe set themselves up for the bot tier 3 as well. They've got a wave. They've got the Baron buff. They've got the power to siege. We'll see if they're able to make it happen.
Yeah, and as you're saying about these changes in gold advantages, I think with that gold graph, geologists might be studying that in a few years' time with how many mountains and valleys there are in that one. But right now, looking to continue to siege out this bottom lane is the side of Kung Fu Cats, and now that they have the extra Baron buff, they probably won't have that wave put up on them within seconds of it arriving at these towers.
Yeah, and the difference between this and when they had the Elder buff pushing towards mid is that now they've got super minions coming into the base through mid lane, and those have to be answered as well. So it's a lot more difficult for DAE to keep up with all of the areas of pressure that Kung Fu Cats Augusta have at the moment. And it looks like they want to parlay this into another Elder Drake.
I think they might just try to death bush this one, in all honesty. I mean, they have completely denied any sort of vision from Divine Ascension Emerald. Well, they have jumped over into the Dragon Pit, so perhaps, maybe not. Dracula and Sugar find a little bit of damage onto Saturation. Knocked up by that Black Shield, and as a double teleport comes through, Slicing Maelstrom is completely nullified by that Lamb's Respite. And though he does stay alive long enough, his Bleeding Wolves through that Zanya's, and that's immediately double kill for this Victor. And actually, it is a very well executed fight in favor of Divine Ascension Emerald as this Caitlyn picks up another kill there. However, Yami is still the one that's left alive. So even though there's only one member of Kung Fu Cats left on this map, you have to say it's by far the most valuable member of Kung Fu Cats left on this map as Saturation.
Yeah, that said, Yami can't take the Elder himself because still dealing with Saturation on the map. Looks like you thought about it for a second there, but nah, you don't want to go against Smite. No matter how fed you are, you're not going to be able to out-smite a Trundle right now.
Hold on, Yami will know, finds Saturation, probably knows that he's alone, will use the QSS to try to reduce that slow. Frozen Pillar will do enough, though.
Yeah, able to escape. And now both teams about ready to go back onto the map for another fight. And every time it can be a game-winning fight, but these fights keep coming up so close that neither team is able to end off of them.
Yeah, and actually, if we take a look at the teleports, Revon and Dracula both have their own. The last one, however, it looks like all 5 members of both teams will immediately start to head towards this Elder Drake, which I find a bit confusing from the side of Kung Fu Cats, as they do have 2 of those teleports available. We saw them last time around. Divine Ascension tried to double teleport onto the same ward. We got to fight straight away. Saturation going low, Saturation going down. Instead of picking up that kill, Bleeding Wolves trying to find Slicing Maelstrom, does get a couple there, but however, Dracula on the back end that finds the rest of that. Yami, though, looking low. Actually, all of the side of Kung Fu Cats looking very low. Dracula just might sacrifice himself for his ADC, and with that, it just might be Divine Ascension Emerald picking up the Elder Drake here.
Yeah, it looks like they may come for a re-engage though. We'll see if it works out. Yami's full health again.
Yeah, got extra life steal. Oh my gosh, that is a ton of damage from Yami. Picking up 2, picking up 3. That is, oh my goodness me. And that is Yami picking up the triple kill there, and the Elder Drake very suddenly. You know this guy's full build, but man, that was a ton of damage coming through, picking up 3 kills there. And so, with really only Bleeding Wolves and Saturation coming up soon for the side of Defiant Ascension Emerald, I don't know. I don't think they'd be able to end this.
It's Yami all the way. Yami
It's
carrying
Yami.
out the last of the fight. A triple kill comes through. The third Elder Drake of the game goes over to Kung Fu Cats Augusta. And as long as Yami's alive, you can never count out KFCA.
Yeah, you really can. And even though it's a really favorable start to the fight for Divine Ascension Emerald, I mean, Yami, that's just the story of this match. Is at 21-3 and 14 Zaya, and wow, there's nothing else to say than wow when it comes to how well Yami's been playing this game.
Yeah, so now they gotta use the Elder buff to finish off the game. I think the Elder buff only on Revon and Yami, so we'll see if they're gonna be able
Really, that being said, if there is one person you want to nominate, it is Yami. Now tries to find grand entrance from Sugar, not quite landing any CC. This fight, and we'll see the amount of wave clear that the side of Defiant Ascension Emerald does have. Well, he's the call as the Forge God, but as he's binded up, can't really use the second part of that one. No knockups coming through, and a lot of wave clear from mostly Paradox Creator, but not only him. You also have Born Doge as well, but overall, just kind of back away from this one as Baron is now back live, and as we've seen multiple times just how fast that Kung Fu Cats can take these neutral objectives there. It's already down to half health, jeez!
It's gone. This is
gone.
the fourth
It is absolutely
Baron of the
gone.
game and all of them have been picked up by KFCA. As a matter of fact, all neutral objectives except for the first Elder Drake this game have been picked up by KFCA, and yet we're still on almost level terms.
I know, it really is incredible given those circumstances as Revon actually gets down to about half health, but about a few minutes remaining on this for this Elder buff, though it's still alive on the side of Kung Fu Cats. Looking for this last bit they can, but they're still not quite able to break fully into this base of Defiant Ascension Emerald, even with this Baron buff coming through and these empowered minions. It gotta imagine that one of these points they finally break in, and when they do that, they can then end the game. But they're really struggling to find a way into the base of Divine Ascension Emerald.
Yeah, they need to sync up the waves, but I don't know if they'll be able to do it.
Oh my gosh, that Sugar going very low, down to about a fifth of his health remaining. And Revon does pass the friendship test with his support.
Yeah, not too hard to tank that one up. He's a big beefy boy right now. But like I'm saying, they got to find a way to get the waves to all crash at the same time. It's hard to make an argument for someone not staying with the 5-man pack right now, because one pick and you might lose the entire game off of it. But at the same time, if you're not able to get the wave crashed into the towers, then you're not going to gain anything off of this Baron, anything more than you get for all the other Barons. So we'll see if they're going to be able to finally knock down another inhib tower here. They've got the Baron buff. They've got a mid wave that's pretty threatening. They still haven't brought in the top or bot wave though, so that's going to just get cleared out once again. And it's just a bunch of more gold being soaked. I mean, at this point, everyone's full build except for Bleeding Wolves. So I don't know how much the additional gold matters, but it's just everyone able to pick up more farm for their stat totals.
Yeah, really, at this point, the gold difference is pretty much irrelevant. As Revon will have to hop away. But as you mentioned, these waves, they pretty much do have to be in sync, and with the bot wave being shoved all the way into that tier 2 tower, perhaps not the best wave management we'll ever see in any sort of game. However, Bleeding Wolves takes a lot of damage early on, and they're looking to take the rest of this fight Sugar does go low, and just do enough damage to force the enemies away. That is DA popped on to Stunna. So this fight not quite through. Sugar still alive. Slicing Maelstrom is completely countered by that Lamb's Respite. Though Caitlyn coming through, Corn Doge doing a lot of damage, but still hasn't quite found Yami. But he has now. That is the quadra kill going on for Caitlyn. And with that bot lane coming through, not quite enough to damage on the ace in the hole to find the pentakill. But that's 4 members down for over a minute on the side of Kung Fu Cats. And that just might be the series done and dusted off that fight right there.
Yeah, Ravon able to survive, though, should be able to clear out this wave. And with the death timers at about 50 seconds for all 4 members versus 3 on the map that are alive and available for the side of DAE, I think it's going to be hard to defend, and Corndo just going to just push right in. We'll see if Ravon's got enough of the wave here to survive it out just a bit longer. But there's the wave coming in the bot lane. This could be it.
Very well could be it, and with Elder Drake available and the lack of 2 inhibitors, Kung Fu Cats all of a sudden looking like they were in control with their really fed Xayah, all of a sudden looking like they're in dire straits for now. Corn Doge putting a bunch of damage into that Nexus Tower. Now they have an open Nexus with 3 members here. This just might be the series. There's Rivon going down, and they will take game 2 and the series in a very... I mean, have you seen? Wow. I don't know how else to describe what we've just witnessed, except for a 54-minute marathon.
Yeah, 2 absolute units of games. Really, they've lasted an entirety of what I would expect from a 3-game series, but. Big props to Divine Ascension Emerald, able to come out the victors of both games after having their bases broken. But then Kung Fu Cats Augusta played a great series as well. Both of the games I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And what more can you really ask from a series than that?
Yeah, I had 2 games that nearly lasted an hour between each other, but I mean, I would have to take a look at the damage numbers myself just to see like what quite came through. I'd imagine obviously Yami on that Xayah really putting in a lot of work, but even towards the end of that game, we saw Corn Doge picking up that quadra kill to essentially win the game and series for Divine Ascension Emerald. And so look at that gold. Look at that gold difference over time graph. Like that is I don't know how else to I don't think there are quite words available enough to express how ridiculous this game has gone. And I mean, wow. I don't know what else there's to say at this point, really. And in terms of that, I mean, it really just speaks for itself. These charts that we have at the end here.
Yeah, pretty much full builds across the board. I mean, you have your odd member from each team that has only 5 completed items, but really both sides gave themselves a lot of chances to win, and it didn't end up working out from Kung Fu Cats Augusta. But I'm going to be looking at them as one of the teams that hopefully should be in contention for the playoffs based on the level of play from both of these teams. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them both right in the mix.
Yeah, especially if Kung Fu Cats can iron out their mid to late game, because they started out both games looking fairly all right, and it is week 1, and I believe you said was it Divine Ascension who had more time together than Kung Fu Cats, or if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
So Kung Fu Cats, even though, perhaps a few bit of miscommunications that early on there, they definitely showed a lot of promise, even though they were 2-0'd this series. But I believe that will conclude this broadcast, unless if I get word from the director that we have anything else coming up. And actually, I do get the confirmation that will be the series for tonight, and that's the broadcast. Tiger, it's been an honor having you being the color caster today, and I totally forgot the name of
Wookie,
our
Wookie
producer. I am so sorry. This is Wookie Monster. Thank you back there behind the scenes putting this all together, and everyone at Runeterra Academy and everybody viewing this this marathon of a series. And we'll see you tomorrow. And I need to check which series it is tomorrow, and I don't actually remember which casters
It's
are coming through.
it's Mint Gaming versus who was it? I think that it was Omega Titans. But
Yeah, Omega
I for-
Esports Titans and them coming up. So we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we'll bring to you that. Then I believe it's the seniors who are playing. We got ourselves the highest, most top tier level to look forward to, Tiger. But until then, we're signing off. I mean,